Well, hello there, and you join us here today to look at the best affordable watches in every category. We're covering dive watches, dress watches, chronographs, GMT watches, and watches for the military. Tom, there's nothing more satisfying than a well-rounded collection with a little bit of everything in it. So far, I've not managed to achieve that. I don't know how you're getting on.
Yeah, no, I've doubled up in a few areas here and there, but I think when I get to 100, I might start thinning out.
Well, perhaps we can aid that situation and the situations of our dear viewers and listeners by going through what we think are the best affordable watches for each category. Let's jump straight into it. Tom, why don't you go first for the first category? This is the dive watch.
I've gone for a Mido Ocean Star 200. Now, Mido is a Swiss watch brand, and Mido comes from the Spanish for measure, medida, or I measure, as in yo mido. So that's a weird choice. Now, the first Ocean Star was released in 1959, so hot on the heels of those early divers, and its water resistance came from a single shell case design and the Aquadura crown sealing system. And the tradition of that original Ocean Star now continues on in, that's right, the Commander collection. But we're talking about the Ocean Star collection. So yeah, now this is a modern diver, sporty Swiss dive watch aesthetics. You've got screw down case back and crown and domed sapphire crystal, and it's got 200 meters of water resistance. You've got faceted hour and minute hands there and those blocky applied markers. The 12 and 6 markers are bisected for better legibility. You've got a day date complication, which is, critical on those longer dives. And a nice pop of contrast on the black dial there with little touches of orange on the second hand tip. And on the print that denotes the caliber 80, which is the automatic Mido caliber 80 base ETA movement, which is COSC certified, which is nice, and 80 hours of power reserve. It's 42.5 millimeters in steel with a rubber strap, and it's £850. So that's a lot of cool dive watch spec for not much money.
That is a lot of spec. I like the little crazy Patrick on the back of the case doing his thing there, popping his head up above water just to see what's going on.
Yeah, that's the Ocean Star logo there, so yeah, starfish.
It seems to do everything, doesn't it? There's no one aspect of it that really stands out, but if you're looking to spend less than £1,000 and get a really good dive watch, it's very, very hard to complain.
Yeah.
That is, until you see my watch, Tom. I have gone for the Seiko Prospex Turtle.
Ooh.
Which is, of course, your experience when you go too deep and you see a shark. This is based on a Japanese market-only watch from 1976, which was an evolution of the original 1965 Seiko diver, and you can see that the turtle name comes from the shell-like shape that it has to protect it. Rather than having a really rugged bezel, which it does have, it has an even more rugged 45mm steel case, which has created this very iconic look for Seiko. It is a very, very popular design and has persisted for a long time. It gets 200 meters of water resistance. It has the caliber 4R36. Got all of the dive watch stuff that you need, including a lovely little loom pip at 12. But the most impressive thing about it, as is always with Seiko, is this very functional looking thing comes at a very functional price of £379. So if you're actually diving, you don't have to be like, oh, I've got a fancy Swiss watch on. You can just go, this is a dive watch, £379. If a shark takes my arm off, I'll just get another one. The watch, I mean, not the arm.
Yeah, yeah, the arm will grow back. It's a really good price, isn't it, for all that functionality? The case shape, it looks like they got that design from having a ball of clay and then just pressing their palm down onto the table, and that's the design they went with. It's cool though, it's really cool.
It's absolutely a no-nonsense piece, and so in contrast to your Mido, it's not going to make you look fancy at a posh dinner. It's going to be there going, let's go, come on, this is boring.
Let's go for a plunge.
Yeah, let's go and look at a squid. Talking of balls, no, not those ones. The ones that you attend where you wear a fancy suit. You need a dress watch in your collection that is appropriate for that when you can't wear your Seiko Turtle. What have you chosen?
I've gone for a new Tissot watch. This is the Tissot Chemin de Tourelles, a Powermatic 80 powered watch. It's 39mm and it's rather fancy. Close your eyes and think of a pure Swiss watch and you'll see the Chemin de Tourelles, named after the street that leads to Tissot's homes in the Swiss mountains. So that's nice, isn't it? It's a very simple looking round case with these faceted applied markers and angular sword hands. This one I've chosen is the cheaper of the bunch. There are several on offer. Got a sunray blue dial, date, and it's inside the Powermatic 80. It's got this new cool balance spring, which Tissot is calling the Nevachron. I think there's a bit of titanium being fused in there. £690 for this one. Tissot knocking it out of the park again.
Now there I was this whole time thinking Chemin de Tourelles was a French toilet roll manufacturer. I do very much like the way they have applied that. I don't normally like a lot of text on the dial, but it gives me, because it's a historical watch, it gives me the vibe, you know, the establishing scene in a period drama where it's like, rah, 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 and Henry VIII is shouting at people and it says, Chemin de Tourelles, the year of our Lord, Powermatic 80. It's a very elegant watch, and as you said, Tissot are knocking it out of the park. They're demonstrating that Swiss watches don't have to be expensive. If I could nitpick, the white date window is less of a date window and more of a date door. It's quite big.
Yeah. I could have probably done without that, and that would have been...
Yeah, but they didn't. So I'm going to show you something else instead. This is the Seiko Presage cocktail time, specifically the Aviation, which I'm assuming is a cocktail of some description that is drunk during cocktail time in Tokyo.
Yeah, not a snazzy watch for inebriated pilots.
Yeah. What is it you do? I do the Aviation.
Want to see me do a barrel roll?
This has a 39.5mm steel case, water resistant to 50 meters, has a boxy hardlex crystal which covers a guilloche style dial in the instance of the Aviation edition in a lovely deep blue. This is the thing with the Presage Cocktail Time series. They take a dial design and they really go to town with it. If you're about accuracy, and perhaps if you've had a few, then you're not too bothered, then you won't have to worry that the 4R35 has a timing range of minus 35 seconds to plus 45 seconds. Don't worry about that too much.
A day?
Per day.
Blimey.
But don't worry about that too much because it is £390.
Yeah, I mean, a slight discrepancy in accuracy aside, I'm actually going to concede and say the best affordable dress watch you can get is a Seiko Presage. They have such lovely, elegant designs and you get a lot going on the dial for the price. So yeah, really great choice.
I think that might be the nicest thing you've ever said, Tom.
Shut up, you cretin. Is that your second Seiko, by the way?
Don't worry about that. Moving on to the chronograph category, Tom. What are you pitching to time those boily eggs?
I've gone for the Boldr Rally 1 Wells 008. Don't know what that means, but Rally 1.
I like that. I like the sound of Rally 1.
Straight out of Singapore, this is Boldr. The first thing you'll probably notice about this watch, very striking case, it has this very impactful design, like it was just taken from a single slab of titanium and then just sliced off the edges at both ends with a very sharp cleaver. And then on top of that, you've got nice pops of orange on the subdials and second hand there. Inside is a Seiko VK64 Mecha Quartz movement. And the whole dial is all coated with super lume, so you get a nice bright blue neon dial when the lights go out, which is really cool as well. So lots of lovely touches here, and that case is just the piece of resistance, as they say, all for the princely sum of £246.
I really like these. Yeah, it's got a Seiko Mecha Quartz, but at least it'll be reliable. But the design is so good. It speaks to me like it's that little man on my shoulder that tells me to burn things. I love the glowy dial. I love the orange accents. I love the balance. I even love the hours, how every single one has 2 digits. The 0102, all of that business. The tachymeter scale tucked away. The case design is just, it's really cool. I think they should wear that to space.
That's where this watch is going, man. It's so cool. Yeah, I mean, the 2 digits for the numerals is so good that Rolex copied that for the Air King, didn't they?
There are watches that cost a lot more than this that could really learn a thing or two from all of those little details, those aspects. Even the orange strip in the strap. Oh, it's just perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is it as perfect, though, as my next choice for my chronograph? This is the Seiko Prospex Speedtimer Go Large Edition. Now, as you might know, this looks absolutely nothing like the Seiko 1969 Speedtimer that it's inspired by, but nevertheless it still looks really cool. It's got real modern chronograph looks. It is 41.4mm across, and it is powered by the V192, which is plus or minus 1 second a day. That's because it's a quartz. But just because it's a quartz doesn't mean you have to pop a new battery in it, because it's solar powered. It sees the sun and it goes nom 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 nom, and then it runs full time. This is particularly the Go Large edition, and it has some deep blue subdials and some pop-in red hands. All together, at £590, I think if you saw the Grand Seiko Tentograph and thought, oh, when you saw the price, this is your bargain way into getting a watch that looks very much like that. It's very hard to fault this, especially at the price.
I've never heard of this. Go Large. How large is it again? Slightly under 42mm. It's not that large.
Seiko says, adding to the popular Speedtimer watch collection, this particular design features an increased Go Large case. The original was 39mm, whereas this is 41.4.
Ah, okay. It looks large, regardless of its diameter. That bezel with that first quarter in black and those great big subdials. Yeah, it looks very, very impactful. It's cool.
The only thing I don't like about it is that the date window is in black with white text. Little bit annoying. Could have been inverted and been much more subtle, but otherwise,
yeah, very nice.
Perfect.
Very nice Seiko again.
Let's move on to the GMT portion of this video. Tom, what are you going to be wearing around the world?
I'm going to be keeping track of time in Greenwich with a Q Timex GMT 38mm. The Q range refers back to a watch from that most prestigious periods of watch history. That's right, the 70s. As you can see, similar to the Boldr watch, you've got a very angular case with those very sharp angles that fall away at the top and bottom of the case, with an integrated rubber strap this time. It's in polished and brushed gun metal with a two-tone black and grey bezel. If I had to give it a GMT nickname, Andrew, I would call it the Stealth Storm Lord.
Catchy.
Because it's subtle and impactful at the same time. It's very monochromatic, save for the bright red GMT hand there. So 38mm across, so it's a very comfortable wear. It's got an acrylic crystal, an aluminium bezel, and it has a date. It's quartz powered, although Timex says Swiss movement, and it says Swiss movement on the dial, but they don't specify any further than that. So it's got a Swiss-made quartz movement in it.
That's like genuine leather, when they mean it's genuine leather from a pig.
Yeah, genuine dog leather. So on paper, it's £180 for a Swiss GMT movement watch.
Oh my goodness.
I think it's fantastic. I think it's a lovely watch.
That is so few money for a watch these days, and I'm so pleased that Timex continues to fight the corner for the little guy with the smaller wallet. And it's such a cool looking thing. It is the go-to watch for any Sith Lord out there, in all stealth black and grey with a little bit of evil red.
Definitely.
And the styling is fantastic. You can wear this thing and feel like you're king of the world without having to spend all of the monies.
Yeah, what a great feeling.
Tom, excellent choice. Can't fault you there, but I can offer you an alternative. This is the Seiko 5 Sports Mikan Orange GMT SKX reinterpretation. This revives the SKX name, which was previously attributed to a dive watch, a popular professional spec dive watch which was discontinued. It's been brought back for, of course, that's right, a GMT watch instead. Not quite sure why. It's 42.5mm in steel, 100 metres of water resistance, so it's pretty handy underwater. 4R34 GMT movement, which will be the go-to for all micro-brand GMT watches going forward, no doubt. Lots of colours, like the Timex, more colours than you can shake a stick at. £420, Tom, for all of that lovely, lovely Seiko-ness packed into a GMT watch. Spended well?
Yeah, that is money well spent, isn't it? It's a no-brainer. It looks great. It's got that chunky SKX case. Again, I might have to concede and say, if you're talking about the best affordable GMT watch, this might be it. I think it's close with the Timex, but this is a really good one if you don't like the Timex. If you don't like either of them, you're screwed.
Tom, We're back on solid ground after a flight around the world, and we need to fight a battle of some description, because we're looking at military watches. That can be field watches, that can be the military pilot's watches, anything you like, but something that ticks the Operation Desert Storm part of your collection. What have you gone for?
I have gone for a relatively new brand. This is Serica. This is the Serica Field Watch 4512 WMB.
Wide man butt.
Yes. Now, honourable mention to the Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical, which is a very, very good, affordable field watch. But I want to shine a light on Serica because I think they're doing some really cool things. Here you'll find very elegant pieces with a very vintage aesthetic, but with nice modern details. So this field watch is a slender 37.7mm. I think that's going to wear like a 38mm. It's 316L stainless steel case. It's got the mechanical Soprod P24 manual wound caliber inside with 40 hours of power reserve. These lovely broad arrow hands that are brushed, nice big numerals, and these nice blobs of loom indices on there as well, with a railroad track, all that cool field watch stuff, 200 meters of water resistance, and a cool bond clip bracelet.
This watch, there's nothing, it's not a copied watch, but all the elements are inspired by history, but put it all together and it has a feeling like, you know, I hid this watch up my ass for however many years and now you're going to hide it up your ass.
And that's how you play the game.
The size is really spot on, the aesthetic, the finish. They've not gone too far down the realms of trying to make it look like it's found and recovered from a shipwreck. It feels new, it feels like it's been kept in a drawer.
Yeah.
But I really like the styling. They've balanced everything very well. Even the 24-hour scale on the inner circle of the dial there.
Sure.
It looks properly vintage. It doesn't look like a modern watch with vintage styling. It looks properly vintage, especially on that bond clip bracelet. You remember those? A stretchy metal bracelet? Love them.
It's great, isn't it? I mean, yeah, they've kept it so modest and vintage that they've made the decision to not even put their brand name on the dial.
Oh, yeah. How much are they asking?
€575.
Looks really nice for the price. But Tom, I've gone for a more modern field watch, the kind of thing you might expect to see on the wrist of the British Forces soldiers as they traverse a miserable desert, wishing they weren't there. This is the Seiko 5 Desert Kit Midfield Sports Style watch. It is a very hardy field watch. The case is 36.4mm in steel, so very similar to yours, a smaller case size, so it's really unobtrusive. Gets a steel bead-blasted case for ultimate ruggedness. You won't get any scratches on any polished bits because there ain't any. It's got the caliber 4R36 inside, and of course the whole thing is very tan in colour. Tan strap, tan dial, no reflective surfaces, so you don't get spotted by the enemy when you glint the sun or flash a bright orange dial. 100 meters of water resistance in there, similar design to yours with that 24-hour ring as well. A bright red second-hand tip so you can keep an eye on very accurate timings. All for the princely sum of £260.
Excellent. Yeah, it's very deserty, isn't it?
I initially read it as dessert, and that's what got my attention at first, because dessert is the best course of the meal.
That is an attention-grabbing word, isn't it, dessert?
Yeah. But I wasn't disappointed to see that it's actually desert. It does look like a watch that you could wear and trust in the desert.
It's nice enough to be every day as well. Like the Serica, I think. Maybe don't wear it with khaki, because that might be a bit overkill. But yeah, very nice. One thing though, I don't know if you're being lazy or you're being sponsored, but those were quite Seiko heavy suggestions from you.
I don't know what you're talking about, Tom.
Oh.
In all truth, they just have everything. I started with Seiko and then I didn't leave. And maybe, dear viewer and listener, that will be your experience too. Why don't you let us know in the comments below who you think wore it best, Tom or me, Andrew? Put Andrew. Put your suggestions in for those categories as well, your ideal selection of 5 different types of watches. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please do like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.